The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Jackson County, Oregon. Job number 32144 on your new fire apparatus. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new fire apparatus. Starting down on the passenger side front bumper, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. You have dual mounted air horns located on the right and left side of the bumper face. Also located directly in line with the frame rail, you'll find 2 attachment tow hooks. Located in the center, you'll find a drop-down hose storage location. On the driver's side face of the bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. And on the side bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up onto the cab itself, you'll find your turn indicators. Located just inside of that, you'll find the headlight cluster, low and high beam on the outer edge, high beam on the inside. Located just above that, you'll find an emergency cluster of lights. There are 2 on the right and 2 on the left. Located on the passenger side, you'll find a bell. And located directly behind the Pierce logo is the latch for the hood release. You have a single piece windshield with 3 windshield wipers, convex and flat mirrors on the right and left, 5 running lights on the brow of the apparatus. Located in the center, a center forward-facing floodlight. Located on the roof of the cab, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within inside that light bar, you'll find an opticom. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. This is the drop-down section for your hose load. This is an 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Headlight cluster and turn indicator. The release mechanism behind the Pierce logo. As we look inside the hood area, let's start on the driver's side. You'll find cab raise and lower instructions, and then you'll also find the red selector switch for raise or lower. Also located just inside of the cab, you'll find a push-button remote, and you'll also find automatic door release mechanism. Let's move just to the right-hand side. On the edge, you'll find your power steering fluid. This is the ATF Dextron 3. And then located on the left, you'll find your radiator fluid fill location. Let's move to the passenger side where you'll find your fill location for your windshield wipers. And as we move to the door area, you'll find your release also is a keyed latch. You also have the ability for a keyless entry system. And also at all points of entry, you'll find grab handles for firefighter safety, entering and exiting the cab. As we move just behind the driver and passenger seats, you'll find storage locations with exterior access, and just beneath you'll find the front discharge drain. Looking inside the first compartment to the rear of the cab, you'll find this warning label regarding entanglement hazard. You'll find 2 discharge locations here. First, the top. In the center, you'll find a release mechanism to allow the speed load to be released. Down in the lower section, you'll find a dead load. The release mechanism for this tray is located on the black latch, or you can pull the wire cable. We're now moving to the midsection of the pump. First, let's start with some warning labels here, not to mix or batch mix any type of foam consistencies or brands, and also a warning regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing them under pressure. On the left, you'll find the driver's side number 1 2.5-inch discharge and the number 3 driver's side 2.5-inch discharge. You do have a direct tank fill at the very top. As we move to the center where the blue tape is located for protection, this is your large diameter pump intake.
Moving to the right, you'll find your foam fill auxiliary operations. This is the port for your foam fill and drain. To the right, you'll find an intake relief valve, which is adjustable. And down at the very bottom, you'll find your auxiliary driver's side 2.5-inch inlet. You do have subsequent drain valves located across the very bottom. They are color-coded and also labeled. As we move to the pump panel area, we'll start in the upper left-hand corner of your pump panel, and we'll start first with when your pump is properly engaged, this light will illuminate. Moving to the left, you'll find your pump intake. This is the master gauge. And to the right, you'll find your master gauge pump discharge. As we move to the next control module, this is your InControl FRC throttle pressure governor. In the upper left-hand corner, the first module is your pump discharge digital readout, and just beneath that you'll find your pump intake digital readout. The next section to the right will contain a digital readout, including a pressure or RPMs. You have the option of pressure or throttle control. Also located is an OK or indication that your throttle is ready to be utilized with a green indicator in the center. You do have increase and decrease in yellow and idle and presets beneath that. To the right, you'll find your RPMs in a digital readout, a silence for the audible alarm, menu selector switch. To the left in the lower section, you'll find your check engine if lit would be amber, and if lit would be red, the stop engine. Beneath that are your diagnostic engine information. To the right, you'll find a PCM fault indicator. If indicated, it will be in amber color, and you'll also receive an audible alarm. Down in the lower section, the black can be increased or decreased through the speaker through the outside bezel. In the lower right corner, you find your vacuum and pressure test ports. Let's move now to the discharges. Moving from left to right, you'll find your front discharge, number 1, number 2, real discharge, driver's side 2.5-inch pre-connect, and also your passenger rear discharge. To the right, you'll find your foam level A indicator, which will provide you information on the tank level of foam, and just beneath that you'll find a water level indicator. Let's move down to the left to the next section. You'll find your pull to prime, and there is also information just above that regarding a caution label. Please see your owner's manual for more information. As we move through, you'll find 3 electronic valves. First, the number 3 passenger side and the large diameter passenger side, including a direct tank fill. The red module is your Pierce Husky 12 foam system. The specifications and system instructions are just beneath it. Moving to the far right, you'll find your direct tank fill. This is for an electronic valve, which is an Acron. Moving to the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Let's move down to the next section where you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. To the right of that, you'll find your tank to pump. Let's move down to the next section. Starting in the lower left corner, you'll find information here on this placard regarding a 15 feet 4-inch light tower height. And then beneath that, you'll find the module for the control of that light tower. Moving up to the top, you'll find your air outlet. Moving to the right in yellow, you'll find your reel blowdown. And moving to the right, you'll find 2 black indicators. This is your primer drain and also your flush valve drain. Moving further to the right, you'll find a pan door. We'll discuss the contents behind that pan door in the next set of images. But just beneath that, you'll also find all of your discharge drains. They are color-coded and also clearly labeled. Let's move all the way to the right side of this panel is where you'll find, when plugged into shore power, an exterior plug. This is the operations command light. This is the module for controlling that command light. On the left side, you'll find a pump engaged, a future switch, driver's side scene lights, front scene lights, passenger side scene lights, and rear scene lights. When engaged, they will illuminate green in color. Inside that panel, you'll find your foam fill operations, horizontal for normal operations and upright for the fill location. Just beneath that, you'll find the manual pump override. This is your manual pump shift override, and it does have an indicator with a protected switch. Your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. the GPMs on your left-hand side, which match the RPMs on the right-hand side. This has a governed speed of 2,400 RPMs and your job number listed at the top. As we move through the compartments, you'll find in the top compartment here, this is just over the rear wheel, a pull-out and tilt-down shelf. The next shelf down will be a direct pull-out, the release mechanism on your right. There is bottle storage locations for SCBA and oxygen bottles on the left side, and on the right side of the wheel you'll find a single bottle location with your DEF and also your diesel fill location. The blue cap is your DEF, which is a 4.5 US gallon tank. Moving to the rear compartment of the apparatus left side, you'll find an additional pull-out drop-down shelf. By simply pulling the cable allows both mechanisms to release. The lower shelf will be a pull-out, which the release is on the right, as is the lower shelf with the release on the lower section right side. There is a exterior plug located in this compartment. As you can see, this is a Shoreline outlet. When plugged into shore power, this will activate. As we move to the side of your apparatus, on the right and left side, you'll find your folding wheel chocks just stored underneath where the rear wheels are. And at the rear section of your apparatus, you'll find your reverse, turn, and brake light. You'll also find on each side emergency warning lights in the lower section and in the upper section, in addition with rear scene lights. Let's talk a little bit about the release mechanism for your ladder. There are some warning labels here regarding pinch hazards. On the right-hand side lower section, this will allow the ladder to be extended. On the right side, just around the corner, difficult to see in this image, will be the release mechanism to allow the ladder to pull outward away from the actual fire apparatus. As we move to the rear section, you'll find this entanglement warning. Because of those hoses coming aloft, there is a possibility of entanglement. On the left side, you will find an indicator here regarding tank level and also a tank fill location. This is a 2.5-inch tank fill. Because that is an electronic valve in the rear, there is the possibility of electrical failure, and therefore an electrical override is required. You will find warning labels regarding riding on or standing on the apparatus for fall, and you'll also find a warning label here regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing those caps. Located directly in the center is your reverse camera. You'll also find a 2.5-inch discharge on the far right, and you'll also find your traffic advisor located directly above the camera system. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section of your apparatus. First, we'll start on the left-hand side. There are two switches. First, your scene lights. The next switch down will be a rewind. There is also an auto eject shore power inlet. Just beneath that, you'll find an air eject. Let's move inside the compartment. First, with your reel, you'll find, in case of power failure, this is a reel rewind location and also a tensioning rod for increasing or decreasing tension for your reel. Located in the rear, you'll find a tow hook location with a fold-up tailboard. And as we look to the right side of the apparatus, you'll find a 24-foot and 14-foot extension ladder, including a 6- and 4-foot long tool. There is also compartment space here for additional long tools above and below. These are those switches that we talked about, rear scene lights and the reel rewind switch. Shoreline inlet, which is a 20-amp auto eject, and also your air eject. Looking inside, you'll find a 10-foot folding ladder. General view of the movable hosebed dividers, and as we go on top of the apparatus, you'll find additional diamond-plated reflective tape indicating the edge for firefighter safety. In the dunnage area, you do have a command light. Also located near the command light in the center, you'll find your deluge discharge, and you'll also find a top mount exhaust. The top mount exhaust is extremely hot. Be cautious, as it can be dangerous. To the right, you'll find your hydraulic for your Husky 12 foam system. This is the reservoir, including the fill location, and also a indicator or sight gauge at the lower section. At the base of the hydraulic fill location, you will find a valve for isolating or fill for repairs. Let's move to the cab, where you'll find these warning labels. This is not a walking surface, So there are warning labels regarding walking in this area. As we move around to the passenger side rear compartment, this will be RS number 3, you'll find pull-out shelves and also adjustable shelves, including LED lighting and shoreline outlet. As we move to the side, just in front of and rear of the rear tire, you'll find bottle storage locations with retaining straps. We'll go ahead and now move forward to the location. You'll find 4 shelves. The 2 lower sections are pull-out style shelves. There is release mechanisms on the right, and the 2 upper sections are adjustable. There is also a shoreline outlet located here. We're now to the midsection. First, we'll start with the water strainer. To the right, you'll find your large diameter pump intake, and further to the right, you'll find the number 3 passenger side discharge, which is a 2.5-inch discharge. This is an electronic valve, so therefore there is an override in case of electronic failure. Let's move down to the next section where you'll find your deluge discharge drain. Moving to the right, you'll find your passenger side auxiliary inlet, which is a 2.5-inch inlet. Moving further to the right, we're going to find your water strainer drain and also your relief valve drain. Those are both twist, not pull. To the right, you will find the override for your large diameter intake, and at the very bottom, you'll find all your associated drains, clearly labeled and color-coded. We're now moving to the midsection of your apparatus where you'll find your crosslay, same as the other side with accessing those and also the release mechanisms. As we look to the rear section behind the front and rear section of the driver and passenger seat, you'll find exterior storage locations. Moving inside the cab, you'll find grab straps for the firefighters and also the access point for daily checks for oil and transmission. Here is a general view inside the cab of the various configurations with your seats forward-facing SCBA style. You do have compartments above, push on and off white and red lights, your air conditioning unit located directly in the center, in addition with 2 roll-up cabinet doors on the right and left side behind the driver and passenger. There is LED lighting and adjustable shelves within inside those compartments. Let's go ahead and move now to the passenger side or officer position. To the right, you'll find at all points of entry for all personnel these warning labels. You'll also find information here regarding not mounting of equipment in this area due to the airbag, which is the SRS supplemental restraint system. At the very bottom section, the black panel is going to be an access panel. And then you'll also find to the right, you'll find your bell rope to activate your bell on your front bumper area. You'll also find 2 foot pedals on the lower section, mechanical siren and electronic siren foot controls. As we move to the center section of the dash, you'll find 12-volt access. These are 2 barrel-style access points for 12-volt. You'll also find just in front of this position the location of the vehicle data recorder. Let's go ahead and go overhead of the position of the officer where you'll find a variety of switches. We'll cover those starting on the right-hand side. First starting from left to right, driver's side scene, front scene, passenger scene, rear scene, a future switch location if necessary, and then to the very far right you can see indicated with the red circle, this is your siren brake. Let's go ahead and move to the left of this location where you'll find your Panasonic Weatherband AM/FM radio, MP3, and Sirius XM player. You'll also find a speedometer located overhead. What I would like to point out in the very center, you'll find this puck style light indicating not to move your apparatus, that you may have a door or compartment open. You also have push on and off white or red LED lights above, and also an intense reading light located over the officer seat. At the doors, we'll find these warning labels. This is going to be the driver's side door. You'll also find window controls. As we look down about the right ankle location of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard, manufactured by Pierce for Jackson County Fire District Number 3, has the job number, date of manufacture, gross vehicle weight rating, tire inflation. It also has a VIN number and all of your fluid capacities for the components, fluid capacity, and fluid type. Just on the left-hand side of the seat of the operator, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this will activate, indicating your voltage for your battery system. And also at the left foot pedal, you'll find your air horn mechanical siren foot pedal. About left knee, you'll find the tech module and also the engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. And just beneath that, you'll find the ABS diagnostic and engine diagnostic switch. At the very base, you'll find your engine and DPF regen switches. At about left knee, you'll find the master battery switch on and off, which is a red toggle switch. Moving up from the battery switch, you'll find 3 switches, ignition and start, and at the very top in red, you'll find your hazard lights. Moving just to the right of that location, you'll find a module for emergency master, your headlights, and also panel dim switch. Let's go ahead and move to the steering wheel, where you'll find steering wheel controls for, on the left, headlights, emergency lights, and also horn, and on the right-hand side, emergency lights, in addition with windshield wiper control. Your vehicle is also equipped with a supplemental airbag in the steering area. On the dash, you'll find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature. Located in the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. To the right, you'll find your volts, front air, rear air, and fuel gauge. Above and below, you'll find diagnostic information. To the left, we're going to start with first your push to apply your system, or pull to apply your system parking brake, and push to release. This is the yellow triangle located for your service brakes. On the right, you'll find your turbo boost information and also exhaust temperature and mirror controls. Down to the right, you'll find a switch indicating that you're stationary, okay to pump and roll. This is an indicator, not a switch. You have a water pump, to the right, foam system, and also tire chains. Just beneath that, you'll find your engine brake on and off, engine brake low, medium, and high settings, off-road traction, electronic siren, air horn or mechanical siren, and mirror heat. To the right, you'll find a digital pressure gauge readout, and further to the right, you'll find water level for your water tank, and also an indicator for foam level for your foam level tank. Let's go ahead and move forward to the dash areas, where you'll find your climate control for heat and defrost, and also your AC for front and rear. As we move overhead of the operator within view, you'll find this camera system for the monitor. This is your zone defense. Also just above that, you'll find your siren control and PA speaker. Moving further to the right, we'll talk about these, but I'd first like to direct your attention to the far left of this image. This is going to be your height, 10 feet 1 inch, length 31 feet 11 inches, gross vehicle weight rating at 49,500 pounds. If you make any changes to your vehicle, please update this placard. Let's move just slightly to the right over the operator's head. You'll find a bank of switches. These include the emergency master, your light bar, front warning, side warning, rear warning, and your opticom. When these switches are engaged, they will illuminate in the green color. Let's move slightly to the right of this set of switches, where you'll find an additional set of switches. These house the driver's side scene, front scene, passenger side scene, rear scene, a future switch location if necessary, and then all the way to the very far right, the load manager. Moving once again further to the right, you're going to find your traffic advisor. As we move back down to the center section, this is just a general view of the rear section or center column area. Moving over to the door, you'll find all of these at all points of entry. These are all of your warning labels, which can be found in the owner's manual. And then all of your steps when the door opens, the actual switch will allow the steps to fold downward, allowing you to gain access inside the cab. Congratulations, Jackson County, Oregon, job number 32144 on your new fire apparatus. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any further questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you.